Welcome to Midnight Narratives. I travel a lot. Rural towns, alpine regions, forgotten corners of Australia. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that public toilets are creepy. So I started digging. What I found was worse than I imagined. These are 100% true stories of haunted and bizarre happenings in public toilets across Australia. Verified, documented, and deeply unsettling. Welcome to Part 2. Episode 8, The Vanishing Man, Cooper Pedy, South Australia. Cooper Pedy is famous for its underground homes, opal mines and scorching heat. But in 1999, a tourist named Greg stopped at a public toilet near the edge of town. What happened next remains unexplained. Greg entered the block around noon. It was empty. He used the urinal, washed his hands and turned to leave. A man stood in the doorway. Tall, thin, wearing a miner's helmet. Greg nodded. The man didn't move. Greg stepped forward. The man vanished. Not walked away, vanished. Shaken, Greg reported the incident to the local police. They dismissed it, but when he described the man, an officer paused. "That sounds like Mick," he said. "Died in a cave-in back in '87. Locals confirmed the story. Mick had been a well-known miner, killed when a tunnel collapsed. His body was never recovered. Since Greg's sighting, others have reported seeing the same man, always near the toilet block. He appears briefly, then vanishes. Some say he's looking for something, others believe he's trapped. The toilets remain open, but if you see a man in a miner's helmet standing in the doorway, don't blink. He might not be there when you look again. Episode 9, The Crying Woman, Port Arthur Historic Site, Tasmania. Port Arthur is one of Australia's most haunted locations, a former penal settlement with a brutal history. The site draws thousands of tourists each year, many of whom report ghostly encounters. But one story stands out: the crying woman in the toilet block near the commandant's house. In 2002, a guy named Rachel was locking up for the night. She heard crying, soft, mournful, coming from the toilets. She entered. The sound grew louder. She checked each stall. Empty. Then she saw her. A woman in a tattered dress crouched in the corner, sobbing. Rachel stepped forward. The woman looked up. Her face was pale, her eyes hollow. Then she vanished. Rachel quit the next day. Historical records revealed that in 1854, a woman named Mary had been imprisoned at Port Arthur for theft. She was placed in solitary where she gave birth to a stillborn child. She died days later, reportedly in the toilet block. Visitors today report the same thing: crying, cold air and the feeling of being watched. Some say they see footprints appear on the wet floor, leading to the corner, then stopping. The site acknowledges the haunting, but the toilet block remains open and the crying continues. Episode 10, The Stained Floor, Wagga Wagga Train Station, New South Wales. Wagga Wagga's train station is a quiet, functional stop on the Sydney-Melbourne line. But in 1986, a janitor named Bill discovered something strange in the men's toilet. A stain. Dark, reddish, shaped like a body. He cleaned it. It returned. He scrubbed it daily. It always came back. Same shape, same spot. Bill reported it to his supervisor. They replaced the tiles, the stain reappeared. In 1992, a local historian uncovered a forgotten incident. In 1947, a man had been murdered in that toilet, stabbed during a robbery. His body lay there for hours before being found. Since then, others have seen the stain. Some say it pulses, others claim it smells faintly of iron. Paranormal teams have tested the area. No blood, no chemical residue, but the stain remains. The station denies any haunting, but the janitors know. They clean it. It returns, and sometimes Late at night, they hear footsteps, slow, dragging, heading toward the stall where the stain waits. Episode 11, The Last Flush, Kalgoorlie Town Hall, Western Australia. Kalgoorlie's Town Hall is a grand gold rusher building with ornate balconies and sweeping staircases. It's a symbol of prosperity, built in the late 1800s when the town was booming with miners and money. But beneath its polished facade lies a story that few locals will speak of. A story that begins in the basement toilet block. In the winter of 1973, a janitor named Harold was working the night shift. The building had emptied after a council meeting, and Harold was finishing up in the lower level. The toilets down there were old. White porcelain, brass fixtures, and a single flickering bulb overhead. As Harold mopped the floor, he heard a flush. He paused. He was alone. He checked each stall. Empty. Then another flush, this time followed by a whisper. "It's not clean." Harold backed out of the room and locked the door. He reported the incident to his supervisor, who dismissed it as stress, but Harold refused to return to the basement. A week later, another cleaner quit after hearing the same voice. Records show that in 1921, a council clerk named Edith was found dead in that toilet block. She had been poisoned. Arsenic slipped into her tea. Her body was discovered slumped beside the sink, her hand clutching the tap. The motive was never uncovered, though rumours swirled about a scandal involving council funds. Since then, the toilet block has been plagued by strange events. Water runs without cause, the lights flicker, and every few months, someone hears the whisper, "It's not clean." In 2008, a paranormal team visited the site. They recorded audio of a woman humming soft, tuneless and chilling. One investigator claimed she saw a figure in the mirror, dressed in early 20th century clothing, scrubbing the sink with bloodied hands. The town hall remains open to the public, but the basement toilets are now sealed. Staff say it's due to plumbing issues. Locals know better. Episode 12, The Cubicle That Counts, Bendigo Railway Station, Victoria. Bendigo Railway Station is a beautiful red brick building with arch windows and ironwork detailing. It's a hub for regional travel, connecting small towns to Melbourne and beyond. But tucked behind Platform 2 is a toilet block that has earned a quiet reputation among railway workers, a place where something counts. In the spring of 2003, a conductor named Janice was waiting for her train to arrive. She stepped into the toilet block to freshen up. As she entered the stall, she heard a voice, low, rhythmic, counting 1, 2, 3. She froze. The voice was coming from the next cubicle. She waited. 4, 5, 6. Then silence. Jenna stepped out. The adjacent store was empty. She reported the incident to station staff, who admitted that others had heard the same thing. Always counting. Always stopping at 6. Historical records revealed that in 1957, a child named Peter had gone missing at the station. He was last seen near the toilet block, playing with marbles. His body was never found. Witnesses claimed they heard him counting before he vanished. Since then, the counting has continued. Sometimes it starts at 1, sometimes it begins at 4, but it always stops at 6. In 2015, a commuter reported seeing marbles roll across the floor of the toilet block, smooth, green glass, spinning in perfect circles. He bent down to pick one up. It vanished. The station denies any paranormal activity, but the toilet block remains a place of quiet dread. And if you hear counting, don't respond, just leave. Episode 13, The Tap That Talks, Broken Hill Visitor Centre, New South Wales. Broken Hill is a town of silver and dust, with a history carved into the red earth. The visitor centre is a modern building filled with brochures, maps and smiling staff. But behind the reception desk is a small toilet block that has become the subject of whispered warnings. In the summer of 2010, a tourist named Malcolm stopped in to use the facilities. The toilets were clean, tiled in beige with automatic taps and dryers. As he washed his hands, the tap turned off. Then it spoke. "Don't go." Malcolm stared at the sink. The voice was clear, female, and urgent. He backed away. The tap turned on again. "Don't go," he read. Staff dismissed the report, but when Malcolm posted his experience online, others came forward. A woman claimed the tap had said, "Stay with me." A child reported hearing, "I'm still here." In 1982, a woman named Lorraine had died in the toilet block. She was a local historian, working late to prepare a presentation. Her heart failed and she collapsed beside the sink. Her body was found the next morning, her hand resting on the tap. Since then, the tap has spoken. Not often, not predictably, but always with urgency. In 2019, a plumber was called to replace the fixtures. As he worked, he heard a voice. "Don't change it." He quit the job. The visitor centre remains open. The toilet block is still in use, and the tap, according to those who've heard it, still talks. Episode 14. The Stall That Watches. Mount Isa Civic Centre, Queensland. Mount Isa is a mining town surrounded by desert and heat. The Civic Centre is a hub for community events, with a theatre, gallery and public toilets tucked behind the main hall. But one stall has earned a reputation for watching. In the autumn of 2006, a teenager named Zoe attended a school play at the Civic Centre. During intermission, she went to the toilets. As she entered the stall, she felt it, eyes on her. She looked up. A small hole in the ceiling. Nothing unusual. Then she saw it. An eye. Human. Watching. She screamed. Staff searched the ceiling. No one was there. Over the years, others reported the same thing. An eye. Sometimes blinking, sometimes crying. In 1969, a man named Arthur had died in that stall. He was a janitor working late when he suffered a seizure. His body was found days later. Some say he'd been trying to escape. Others believe he'd been trapped. Paranormal investigators installed cameras in the stall. One night, they captured footage of the ceiling tile shifting, just slightly. Then, a shadow passed across the lens. The Civic Centre replaced the ceiling. The sighting stopped for a while. But in 2022, a woman reported seeing the eye again. This time, it was bloodshot. The stall remains open, but locals avoid it. And if you feel watched, don't look up.